Hello, this is Dan Ferrisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator. So happy to be joined today by Kevin Wilkin, who is Executive Sales Director Americas with Blaze Audio. The topic of conversation is, of course, houses of worship as it regards our House of Worship Deep Dive, which will be all over the website throughout this month, as well as in the August issue of Commercial Integrator, where Blaze Audio provided a really informative sidebar. So we're grateful for that. Kevin, thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So Blaze Audio, for those who may not be very familiar with the company, the brand, tell us a little bit about the brand and who you are for Blaze.
Sure. So Blaze Audio is a brand of Pascal, and Pascal provides amplifier technology for most of the Pro AV industry for the last 17 or so years. And so Pascal is the last name of, a French mathematician and philosopher, and Blaze is his first name. So that's where we're coming from. So OEM, ODM supplier of amplifiers that's now gone direct to market. We want to have a closer relationship with those customers who actually use our products. And so this was a step in that direction. In no way getting rid of OEM, but just moving in a new direction with Blaze Audio. But it differentiates itself from Pascal in that we're moving in the direction of becoming a systems provider, including speakers, control, and things like that. So we're really able, even now, to provide entire audio solution for many types of jobs.
So in that vein of providing solutions, let's talk specifically about worship environments, because this is, of course, for our House of Worship Deep Dive. How does Blaze Audio factor into a conversation regarding worship?
Yeah, so our speaker division is run by a person named Hugh Sarvis, who grew the company and built the company, Works Audio, which was big in the worship space. And even I myself, I do music for a church, so a lot of connections to church music and house of worship music, I would say, in general. And so, but the design and creation of these speakers is done with a whole new set of measurement tools and things that allow Hugh to create even better speakers. And he does that with the house of worship market and the worship experience in mind. So these speakers actually end up addressing a lot of the problems churches experience, and does so in a very, I would say, inexpensive way, at least from a system point of view.
In regard to that statement about kind of solving problems that churches might experience, do you want to talk a little bit about your own philosophy as regards using sound technology to support and enhance worship rather than being any kind of a distraction or a detriment to worship?
Yeah, so that's really the big question. I would say, in short, it's sound system is get out the way and sound amazing doing it. So I think in any worship experience, the idea is to focus on the spiritual impact, spiritual experience, on God, whatever people want to call their religion, right? So and what they focus on. But to the extent that the auditory experience interferes with that or is less than stellar even, then sound becomes the focus rather than what people are there for. And many times people aren't even aware of that. Just take, something like listeners fatigue into account. So, challenges a sound system has to address, of course, acoustics, coverage, whether the sound is pleasing or harsh on the ears, is there feedback? These are all types of things that, impact the listener experience. And that, either makes it, something people experience without even noticing the sound, or whether they're really noticing, right? So the job of any sound system is create a better than life, really, sound that amplifies the message, through spoken word or music. So it's that experience. It's that simple. If people know they're hearing a sound system, chances are it's not as good as it should be. So, and that's where we try to step in and complete the job, right?
So given your experience and your personal grounding in this space, can you describe a worship environment or a worship space where a sound system did significantly enhance the overall experience and the aspects of the system that contributed to that success?
Sure. So we just released a story on an installation that we did for Reimage Church, and using our constant curvature arrays, and it was done by early adopter of ours named High Tech, and in their sanctuary, super large, semicircular, 1,200 people. And the seating goes to about 75 feet back, and so you have, and because it's circular or semicircular, it's a very difficult space acoustically, and for traditional line arrays to manage. And so what we have here in our CCA series, our constant curvature array series, is our wide dispersion speakers that really are entirely new to the market. These are 160 degrees, so they're constant curvature. So it's that symmetrical horizontal pattern really allows us to cover a lot of area with less speakers, and so we reduce and really eliminate a lot of the acoustical anomalies that happen in spaces where people are worshiping. And so in that case, sonically, people would describe, and worshipers were describing the sound as a breath of fresh air, and so even in my own church, we swapped out the processing, right? And it dramatically improved the sound, much smoother, and as the sound is more pleasing to the ear, the louder it can get without being painful and annoying. So and so we because we're able to do the same job with far less speakers, it's the sound actually becomes much more natural in the room. So also a way of being more pleasing to the ear. So and the way we cross over our speakers is unique too, and it puts the vocals really right in the center. And so it really it just reproduces all the elements of the band in terms of separation, in terms of full frequency spectrum of the music. So it's one of the things in many ways you have to hear to believe, but the science backs it up. Yeah.
So as you know, Commercial Integrator, of course, writes to an integrator-centric audience. So I'd like to turn to them next. Things for them to consider. If our goal is, as of course it is, optimal audio quality, meaningful worship experiences, what should integrators be bearing in mind to effectuate that kind of an outcome?
Well, we talked a bit about speech intelligibility, good separation, things like that. Of course, acoustics we spoke about. I think with our speakers, they can really be described as room agnostic. So this makes the job of an integrator fitting our speakers into their worship spaces far easier, because our speakers actually use the reflections in the room to our advantage rather than as a liability. And so that's a huge step forward in speaker development. Also, if we look at our entire lineup of speakers, including our constant directivity speakers, then we can actually do symmetrical horizontal dispersions up to 180 degrees. So coverage is key, right? And in all of this. And so having a box that can shoot 80 feet and do 180 degrees or 160 degrees, depending on the speaker, is huge. We reduce things like, we eliminate problems like home filtering and and holes where the speaker really needs to be. And so but also, of course, flexibility is key. We're coming out with Dante amplifiers. That's something that people can build their systems on, but our speakers also include under balcony speakers and for other types of speakers for for reaching balcony areas, overflow areas, chapels, not just the worship space. And of course, maybe most importantly, I've yet to meet a church that didn't have a tight budget relative, at least to their system requirements. So ROI is a huge deal when it comes to houses of worship in general. And that's where our philosophy of providing super flexible products and comes more into play. The idea that we can do more with less. And that's what our speakers offer. So our system costs, they don't just offer better performance, but they do so with less pieces and less components. So as a result, we're able to do amazing systems at a fraction of the price of some of our competitors.
Doing more with less is a really nice calling card. I think that's speaking a language that both integrators and clients they're familiar with, and they want and they desire. It seems like Blaze Audio is right in that strike zone for what people want.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you taking the time, Kevin Wilkin, for joining me today and for giving us a really robust understanding of the value proposition that Blaze Audio brings, not just to the commercial AV channel broadly, but more specifically to the worship market, the worship community, a community I know, as you say, that you're part of and that Blaze Audio is very much focused on serving.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. It's great talking, Dan.
So happy to have been joined by Kevin Wilkin, Executive Sales Director, Americas with Blaze Audio. My name is Dan Ferrisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator. Please check back on commercialintegrator.com throughout the month for more exciting thought leadership content focused on the House of Worship market, aligning with our House of Worship deep dive. And as I say, check out Commercial Integrator's print issue in August for a really interesting sidebar from Blaze Audio, as well as the deep dive itself, our deep dive report. Other than that, please do continue to check the website for all our latest news, updates, products, and other exciting content. Thanks so much for tuning in.